Well, welcome to the fun and mentals of real estate. I think we had some fun last year.
I think we're still having fun.
We were a little mental on disclosures,
yeah, that's
though.
all right.
But I think this week we're going to have a little bit more fun because we get to actually go see the house now. I'm excited.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Right? What's our question of the day?
Question of the day is it important to have your real estate agent with you when you go look at a house?
Okay, all right. So last week we screened them all, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of screening, visual, disclosure, reading, all these reports, HOAs, condo things, septic reports, all this stuff. And now we decided that this was a really good one to go see.
Yes, no more seeing it on a computer screen or my phone. I'm getting out of my chair, into my car.
Yeah.
And driving to see a house.
Who are you bringing with you?
Yeah, who can I? That's a good question too. I was going to ask, who all can come to this? Is it just me? Can my wife come? Can I bring my parents? Can I bring my dog, my parakeet, my salamander? Who can I bring on this journey? And who all is going to be there? My mind is spinning. Remember, I've never done this before.
Yeah, no. So obviously anybody can really come. So we have. I try to make sure. I try to make sure that anybody that's influential in the purchase. So obviously your significant other. If parents are heavily involved in the decision making, like you're not going to buy,
kids. You're right, yeah,
you're not going to buy the house without
mom and dad to come with me, of course.
Absolutely.
And we've had it before where one party can't necessarily make it, or the kids want to check it out first, but then the parents have to see it to get their stamp of approval.
Sure. Yeah, you've never bought a home before. That's something that you want.
But it is an exciting time, and this is really the chance that buyers get to feel the home out.
Yeah, so, we actually get to get in the home. So you pull up, you get out. Are you just like, okay, you just guys walk through there and you just let me know if you like it or not, and then, we'll talk after?
Yeah.
What are you doing when you get out of the car? Because you're not buying a house, a buyer's buying a house. So what are you doing? Have you stopped screening now, or are you just, la la land? What are you doing?
I don't just pop out a lawn chair and sit in the front lawn. So,
all right. He's not popping up.
And really, who's there too? Is the listing agent there? Are the sellers there?
So
typically not.
Yeah, so it just depends on the situation. But most of the time it's just us and the buyers and, family, whatever. Right. Again, sometimes there's family, which we can go into in a little bit. But, I don't stop screening once we get there. So really, this is where, why is it important to have an agent there? Just because I've been in so many homes. So while I'm not a home inspector or anything like that, I can really start to look for some issues right away. So, for example, and this isn't even that long ago, I pull up to a house, and again, the first thing I'm looking for is just how does this house lay? Because again, and again, I know from even my doing so much new construction, I see what the lots look like before their house is on in some of these subdivisions, so I can kind of picture, hey, this is how this lot was built. What's the lay of the land? How's that water draining?
How is the water flowing? It's really super important. It's one of the first things we look for when we get out of the car.
So one of the ones I had recently was I pull up, and again, house popped through every disclosure process. Everything was looking great. Didn't see any issues. I pull up, and I noticed that the driveway is a little uneven, and not a lot. I mean, this is not something you can even pick up on a picture. It's a little uneven. Okay. And then I noticed the porch is slightly leaning on one side. And again, one issue in and of itself isn't a problem. Then I noticed a little crack, and I was like, I am really going to take a look at that back left corner whenever I get to the basement. So I already knew, I could picture the land outside. We walk in, and again, we're a long ways away from the basement at this point. We're just feeling out the house. But I know specifically, hey, I want to go down here and look. Again, I'll look. Big one is the chimneys. I'll look and be like, boy, that chimney flashing doesn't look that great. Chimney looks like it needs tuck pointing. I'm going to look at that ceiling when I get in there and see what the ceiling looks like, especially if it's an older roof. So, we're walking through, now we're in the house, and I can check that stuff out. I look, buyers are looking where they can place their couches and where the little kid's going to play and where the crock pot's going to go for family Thanksgiving. And, I'm like, hey, what's the ceiling look like, the baseboards, the drywall tape.
Are the buyers allowed to take pictures or video when they're in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and again, a lot of times, we might even be recorded. So there's
there's
recording devices out there now. So
What advice do you give people when they're doing the report?
So I typically tell them at least several times, like, hey, especially if I see one, like if I see there's a camera on the garage, like, hey, there are recording devices here, and I don't know if this is the only one.
Right.
So let's have our conversations in private on the phone or out by the cars.
So it's really interesting. People are very quiet when they do see homes now. Like,
yeah, sometimes
because there are other agents there. Like, who's there? There could be other agents showing the house.
Yeah, and I try to tell them too, is don't. Because again, if we are being recorded, don't just go through and point out bad stuff like, I hate this piece of artwork, because they may have painted it,
Right.
So it's like, I try to say, be real positive, because everybody has their own style and taste, and just because it's not yours doesn't mean it's not a fit for them. So clearly, again, so many homes that I would never buy personally as an aesthetic, it's not my look, but for somebody, it's exactly what they were looking for.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But again, so on top of just screening for issues, I also like to let buyers know quality, because that's what they hired an agent for. So we go into a brand new renovated kitchen. So you can't say it's not new.
Right.
But did they use $10,000 cabinets or $50,000 cabinets in this? Like, is this kitchen decked out and custom?
Right.
Or is it kind of a makeshift IKEA throw together kitchen? That still could be fine for somebody. But I try to make sure that, again, it has to go with pricing. Like, hey, and I grade it like on an A, B, C, D scale. Like, hey, this is a C quality cabinet. It's fine. It functions. Again, it looks good. It's not a custom quality cabinet with maybe slow close features, or a specific design cabinet, pull out drawer that you just don't find.
Why is that important? So value. It's important to value one thing, right? But the longevity of the time you're going to be in the home, right? And that's what we're looking at. If you told us 5 years, it's one thing. But if you told us I want to raise the family, and this is 10, 15, 20-year home, we're looking at those roofs and those foundations and those cabinets and those floors.
Yeah, so like over time, I might have to replace the roof. I might have to upgrade.
So like Glen, if Glen was buying a home, Glen custom built, and he picked out his cabinets. Right. So he didn't have to worry about buying something somebody else picked. So a common one that I always say, again, longevity. So a lot of kitchen cabinets, there's the true wood or shaker cabinet, and then there's aluminum wrapped cabinets. Those are so classic on peeling, especially if you have a coffee maker or dishwashers close to the sink, close to the oven. I look at those specifically because right where they come and peel around, like I will even open a cabinet and feel right there. And a lot of times, pretty incredible. I can kind of tell the age of the cabinet, the kitchen, just by feeling the cabinets. Be like, I know exactly when this kitchen was. Was the cabinet just refaced? Is it the old cabinets with a new door? So
that's the expertise. Somebody that's buying their first house, or even if they haven't bought a house in 10 years.
And really, the most important room in the house is the kitchen. Basement.
Oh, the basement. Yeah.
Because the basement really tells all about these bones that we were talking about the other week. Does this house have good bones? Is the roof good or the system's good? But what about that foundation? So what kind of red flags are you looking for when you tour that basement?
So again, a lot of times just a natural flow home. I start in the front so I can get a good picture of the front of the house. Now I'm in the house and I'm going to the basement. So then I get a good look at the basement, especially if it's not drywalled. And again, even if it's drywalled, I can still look for stuff. Again, not a foundation guy, but there's other stuff we look for down there. A lot of times people have the builder build the upstairs, and the basements are years later or after.
That's what I did mine,
family contractor did it. So a lot of times I'm screening for some occupancy stuff. So separate from even what a building inspector would look for, like, hey, this is functioning just fine. An inspector probably won't even flag it. The city's going to care. A lot of times I can tell if bathrooms were done professionally or not just because, again, some people are really good and their quality of work is good, but I can tell it's not permitted for, again, the just random signs we're not going to go into. But yeah, so now in the basement, especially if I walk to the front, the back wall to me in the basement is especially important too. So I can look for problems there, because then if it's a walkout, or later if I view the backyard, I can remember the vice versa. Like, hey, I thought I saw a problem in the left corner or in the middle. Now I'm going to go to the outside of the back and be like, makes sense. That corner looked like there's a problem. There's a gutter downspout draining right there. So a lot of times it's screening for issues inside and out, and not necessarily like, oh, here's a crack. This one's bad or this one's good. You can't buy this home. It's piecing the puzzle together, seeing what buyers are comfortable with.
And see if there's more than one crack. You have a crack on this side, you're going to probably get a matching one in there. So it's like, hey, this could be not a big issue, and it could be a big issue. We need someone to review this.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on enough building inspections. You sold over 300 homes. I've been in business for 35 years. We've been on tons of building inspections. We know the common things that come up, and we know it'll go, if our head tilts, we probably need the expert to come in and look at this. And if you're okay with doing that and spending the money on the inspection and getting under contract, that's okay. If you want us to do it before you get under contract and there's time, we'll bring in that guy before you get under contract and spend money on appraisals and all the other things that you have to do. But we know enough that we're like, my head's tilting here a little bit. This is a problem.
And unfortunately, I can say this just from how many thousands of homes I've viewed. Sometimes the scariest looking cracks are the easiest and cheapest ones to fix, and the ones that are like
that's the expertise.
The too close.
That's the ones like if it's a big horizontal crack and it's like a foot from the top of the foundation wall.
Yeah, and you're like, what
it's most of the time
that?
It's just where they poured the rebar too close and it popped the concrete. And I've showed buyers before because sometimes it'll come off in big chunks.
Yeah.
And it looks like, man, this foundation's crumbling. But I'll show them with my flashlight or whatever, like you can actually see the rebar rusted in there, and that's what causes it to expand and pop. But then sometimes there's just subtle little cracks because when there's inward pressure, sometimes it'll push those cracks together. So sometimes it actually can almost seal the cracks where you're like, you know, and again, this is what I do. Most buyers don't, and probably most agents don't, but you know, especially if it's a long run of a wall, I'll go stick my head up on the wall and look down at it and see if I can tell the lean. And there's a tolerance to them, and all walls have a little bit. But
see, what's fascinating to me is I always the thing that we're in this house together. I just assume you're trying to sell me this house. You're really not selling me this house. You're just screening it with me and helping me make a good decision
to see if it's a good, not only good value, but also it's not a money pit.
Yes.
And it's going to be something that for you, the longevity that you're going to be there, that it's going to work for you and it's going to work for your budget. And that we don't want you to get under contract and have a bunch of things. I have had ones where I've told people, you're not buying this house. Like I will literally say to them, you can find another agent to sell you this house. I'm not selling it to you.
Just because you want to protect them.
This is a terrible house. The bones are bad. There's cracks on the back. There's cracks on the front. There's cracks outside. They're inside. Then no. N-O. I'm not doing it. And so we will tell you when something's bad, and we'll also tell you when it's really, really good.
Yep.
Right? Like you walk in, you see like a perfect foundation, and you're like, that's a beautiful wall. And people are like, wow, you're excited about a foundation? Well, yes, because I can appreciate homes that were built well and that are really good.
You're watching out and protecting your buyers and your clients.
One of my favorite stories is it happened to be the first home we viewed, and it had probably at any price point. It's probably one of the nicest homes I'd been in a year. And I was like, guys, this sounds like this is the first home you viewed, but you got to trust me.
I know it.
If you don't buy this home, you're going to be thinking about this home for the next 6 to 9 months. Mm-hmm. And it does not get better than this. And
you'll compare everything to
I've told them before
and
on that one, I said, I had a relatively flexible day that day. I said, I will take you in as many homes as I need to take you into to get you comfortable with this decision, because you cannot let this one go. We actually didn't end up viewing any others. They bought it, and they've told me, because I'm friends with them, that for 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, they still were online looking at homes, and they were like, boy, he was right. Nothing came close to what we bought. So again, I can take you off of a home, but sometimes you need that confidence and you need that push to be like, this is it. It doesn't get better. You got to trust me. And again, that goes back to the agency and that higher level of service. So just as easily as we can screen you off of one, it's like, hey, this is it.
Right.
Like, you got to jump.
And that's part of the building wealth, right? Living the dream lifestyle in a home that fits in your budget and everything else, and then leaving legacies that matter, not money pits, right?
And I would say, to answer our question, yes, maybe you could go look at it, but I sure would want my agent with me if I was going to go view a house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
That was fun.
I hope you had some fun.
I had fun.
The house this week.
Yeah.
Right? And I thank you so much for listening to us. Give us a little follow, boom, on the podcast if you liked us. And if you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to answer them on the
give
podcast.
us a call.
Send them in. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.